Here's the big question I keep hearing from Sarasota homeowners. Should I sell now or should I just hold off until 2026? Now, across the US, home sellers are sitting on nearly 700 billion worth of listings. That's the highest ever. But buyers aren't keeping up. So homes are sitting, price cuts are becoming normal, and some frustrated sellers, they're even just giving up and pulling their listings altogether. So today, we're breaking down what's happening nationally, how that affects us here in Sarasota, what are our local numbers, and whether waiting might actually put you in a stronger position or leave you stuck competing with even more buyers later on. Stick around as we talk about the 3 biggest reasons to sell and the 3 biggest reasons to stay put. Let's start nationally because the Sarasota market, it certainly doesn't exist in a vacuum. Inventory is up 20% year over year, and that's the highest supply we've seen in 5 years. And of course, it's no secret. Homes are taking longer to sell. The average sale nationally is now 40 days compared to 35 last year. And nearly half of all homes that's been on the market, they've been sitting for over 60 days. That's 331 billion in what Redfin calls stale inventory, just sitting there. And buyers, they're pulling back because monthly housing costs are at record highs. Now, what does this all mean? It's simply a very different world than in 2021 when Sarasota homes were flying off the market in 24 hours with multiple offers. Instead, this is shaped up to be a classic buyer's market. Now, how does this all play out here in Sarasota? Let's look at the most recent local numbers that we have available at this moment. These will just be confined to the 2 counties that we talk about on this channel, Sarasota and Manatee County. So the historic count of listings was around 8,000 at the start of COVID. And as you can see, that went down drastically. And then really it spiked this year, coming down slightly in the last few months. And we'll talk about why that happened here in a minute. Next, we have a somewhat startling graphic which shows the continuous days on market. So this is the average amount of times that homes actually spent on the market. So the average was around 80 days back during the first few months of COVID. And then that dropped drastically down to under 20 days. And everything seemed to be selling in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks because of all the competition back then. And then it went back up to over 80. And this year it was peaking around 90 days. So it'll be interesting to see what the August numbers are and what the numbers are like later this fall. So stay tuned and make sure you like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you can get these updates and follow where the market is headed right here in Sarasota. Now let's look at average days to sell. And that was around 80 days and hovering around 80 days. So remember, average days on sale doesn't include all the people that changed their minds about selling for some reason or another, or those that have simply given up and withdrawn their listing. Last is months of inventory. In other words, how many months would it take to absorb this entire inventory? So it started as a healthy 5 months around COVID, and then it dipped below 1 month in that post-COVID craze, and then it went up to almost 9 months of inventory this year. And it's still over the 6-month margin, which we call balanced market. So this is the very definition of a buyer's market. Now we're still in one of the most desirable areas of Florida. I mean, we've got great beaches, great lifestyle, great schools, great retiree appeal. So demand hasn't evaporated completely. People really want to come here, but the inventory has climbed, especially in those neighborhoods where there's a lot of new construction, like in Welland Park, near Lakewood Ranch, or Ellington, the Parish area in general. Builders are adding supply, which makes it tougher for those resale homes to stand out. Buyers right now have choices. So instead of competing against 1 or 2 listings, they may have 15 to 20 homes to look at in the same price range, or maybe just a dozen even in that same exact community. And that changes the psychology for buyers. They feel empowered. They feel empowered to negotiate, ask for concessions, and even walk away. So that's the reality that sellers are bumping into right now. Plenty of showings, but few serious offers. So let's talk about the real dilemma. If you sell now, you're competing in a crowded field. Sellers are outnumbering buyers by about 500,000 nationwide, so about 500,000. That means price cuts and longer days on the market. That's simply becoming norm. Now, on the flip side, many homeowners are just choosing to pull their homes right off the market. According to Realtor.com, 38% more sellers have withdrawn their listings this year compared to last year. So I understand, they're frustrated. Maybe they didn't get that number they wanted. They just got tired of waiting. Or, and in my opinion, here's the biggest reason, they weren't being realistic. And I could go on and on about the ridiculously overpriced listings I see here in Sarasota by these so-called good agents. I mean, overpricing to buy a listing is rampant here in Sarasota. So just make sure if you're talking to an agent that they have solid numbers to back up that asking price. But I'm going off on a tangent there. Here's really the risk. If everyone pulls their home off now and relists when the mortgage rates come down or at the beginning of the year, we could see a flood of listings that hit the market all at once. So imagine like if you're standing at Publix. If you're the first one in line, you get checked out quickly. But if you wait until 20 other people get in that line with you, I mean, it's a much longer process. And that's exactly how the housing market works too. Now, none of this is brand new. I mean, we've seen slowdowns before. In the 1980s, mortgage rates hit 18% and sales froze. And then once rates came down, the demand came roaring back. And back in 2008, we had one of the worst downturns ever. I mean, I was selling new homes at the time, but we got through it. Eventually, the market recovered, and homeowners who could hold on, they saw their values rebound greatly. In 2020, when COVID first hit, the housing market almost stopped overnight. I mean, I had 4 listings that got pulled in just 2 weeks. But within 6 months, demand skyrocketed, especially here in Florida. So the lesson is the housing slowdowns are always temporary. They hurt in a moment, but they never last forever. So what's coming next? Well, forecasts from Fannie Mae, the Mortgage Bankers Association, the National Association of Realtors, they're all kind of in line. They all are kind of predicting that sales will gradually improve heading into 2026. Why is that? Well, because they kind of all expect interest rates to slightly ease here. And once mortgage rates drop even 0.5%, you'll see some buyers unlock that affordability. They'll get into the ratios that they need to get approved. And when they jump back in, that's when more sellers are going to jump back in. They're going to get off the sidelines as well. And that's why waiting, it can feel tempting, but it's also why it could mean that you're competing with an even larger pool of sellers when things do get better. And despite all the prognosticators, I mean, everybody has an opinion. There's not a person on earth who can give you the exact time that the market has bottomed and is headed for a rebound. Everybody has an opinion. You'll see lots of reports or read lots of articles, but no one knows that exact day. So let's just boil it all down. The reasons to sell now. You need to move. You've got a job relocation. You're downsizing, upsizing, got a family crisis. The family can get smaller, the family can get larger. You need to move. Next, that you're okay with competitively pricing and possibly negotiating some concessions. You've got some equity in your home and you can recover that. Maybe you can even get a better deal on the other side as a buyer. Remember, the market works both ways. So maybe you can recoup that money as a buyer. And lastly, you just rather not gamble on where the prices might be 6 months from now or a year from now. They may go down even further. Reasons to wait. You don't have to move right away. I mean, you haven't bought a new house, you haven't picked out a new house, so you've got some time before season. You're comfortable with that. Or maybe you'd like to see if lower rates might bring back more buyers, and more buyers might bring more competition for your particular house. And the last reason, of course, you can comfortably stay put for maybe 12 to 24 months. I mean, you'd really like to move, but you'd move for the right situation or the right house, the perfect house. But you can also stay in that home without too much inconvenience for the next year or two. Ultimately, the right answer depends less about the timing of the market and more about your personal timing. So, should you sell now or in 2026? Of course, you know the truth is both options carry some trade-offs. If you list today, you know that you may not get the frenzy of offers that you'd hope for, but you'll face a lot less competition once the buyers return. And if you wait, you might have more buyers, but there also might be more sellers competing for those buyers' attention. That's why having a local strategy really matters. Sarasota neighborhoods aren't all moving in the same way. Neighborhoods are different. Some areas are oversupplied, some are a little still tight. And if you want to talk through all these things, what makes sense for your situation, whether that's Lakewood Ranch, Palmer Ranch, Siesta Key, Manatee County Parish, wherever it might be, everywhere and anywhere in between, I'd be happy to walk through your options, because at the end of the day, it's not about timing the market. It's about timing your life. Reach out to me whenever you'd like. My contact info is below. I'm Rob Rovnak for Living and Buying in Sarasota. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.